Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Agio, and in this show we have a group coaching. That is, there are people in the audience and I am here to answer any of your most pressing questions. In order for you to be a speaker on the show, a guest on the show, you have to register from before. I'm going to share with you my 3-step method for overcoming fear, frustration, anger, and anxiety. And it's all based on the 3 golden principles of Greek philosophy. So Greek philosophy is an eternal wisdom. It is just as valid today, if not more today, than ever it was in ancient times. So your modern problems are exactly what I'm looking for to show you how this 3-step method can help you make a transformation. And yes, even on this show, you can overcome something that's deeply troubling you. So we have a guest today who's asking the question. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Dr. Agio. It's great to meet you.
My pleasure. And thank you for being brave enough to share your problem and your issue here on the show, because you know that when you share your issues, you're not only going to make your own transformation today, but you'll have the ability to inspire another person in a similar situation. So in inspiring yourself, we're multiplying the effect. That's why it's so very kind of you to and courageous to go out in public and share your issue.
Oh, thank you. I'm very excited and grateful for the opportunity. I'm really interested in your method, and I love that it's based on Greek methodology. So I'm very excited.
Yes, it's mainly based on the Greek philosopher Socrates, who is like the father of, if you like, Western philosophy and one of the greatest philosophers of all time. So Socrates used to ask people very specific questions, getting them to, if you like, it's myth busting of your own fears and insecurities. He helped by cross-examining someone to make sure that they're really thinking clearly and truthfully. So let's dive right into it. What would you say is one of your biggest fears or insecurities lately in your life?
Well, I think one of my biggest fears is my own ability to launch social media initiatives. Like, I'm 65 and this is my 2nd chapter. So I'm a new entrepreneur. I'm starting a new initiative called Simply Persist. And I'm very excited about it. I have a tremendous interest in persistence.
Tell us about this about this thing that you want to launch so we get a better idea?
Sure. So when I was in graduate school many, many years ago, my advisor said to me that the people who finish their PhDs are not necessarily the smartest, but they're the most persistent. And that little kernel of advice has stayed with me my whole life. About just if you want to accomplish something, maybe you're the smartest, you might be the best, or maybe you're not. But the point is to keep taking every step forward and persisting, and that's how we accomplish our goals. So my wish with Simply Persist is to encourage anybody to find whatever their goal is and their dream and persist in accomplishing it.
Hmm. So you're going to have a webinar or a show, a podcast?
So I do have a show on USA Global TV and Radio Network called the Persistence Payoff Show, where I interview people about their own experiences with persistence and how that has paid off for them.
Good.
So I have an active show about that. And I'd
Mhm.
also like to create a forum for people to share their own stories, and to do that online.
So
I call
you're concerned if you're going to be able to promote it in a good way using all the new social media. You doubt your capacity for being good at this new game of social media. Am I correct?
That's correct. I'm new to social media and I'm learning about it, and and it also requires putting myself out there. So I had a 33-year career at the university as I was an administrative director of a very large research center. So
Mm.
I was always very behind the scenes, and the doctors and the scientists were the front face, and that's as
Mhm.
I have been. But that was my life for 33 years, and now I'm the front face. So there's
Mm.
also my own insecurity about putting myself out there and making myself vulnerable, and not, in social
Good.
media, not every video has to be perfect. You can show yourself in less than perfect
Well, of course.
settings, but that's hard for me to accept and implement.
Okay, so I'm going to just simply use my workbook, which is called From Fear to Freedom. It's a workbook here. Don't know if it shows so well on the screen. And it's called From Fear to Freedom, the three golden principles of Greek philosophy for happiness. And it's a workbook. It basically has two major exercises. And so the first question that I would say, down deep inside, you're afraid of what?
Mm. I'm afraid that I won't be good enough.
Okay, Kimberly, that's a huge revelation. You won't be good enough. Good enough presenter, good enough at social media.
All of it. Yes, good enough at creating the videos, conceptualizing them, implementing them, presenting myself well, all of it. Yes.
Okay. And so let's look at the worst case scenario. If what's it going to look like on the outside? Like, what are the external results that you're going to say, yeah, I was right, I wasn't capable? What's it going to what would the disaster look like? What would the bad thing look like?
Yeah, it would look like nobody being interested in it,
Mhm.
nobody following it, nobody looking at my videos, and I'm putting a lot of effort into it and it doesn't take off at all.
Okay, and what would that mean? Like, what are the absolute worst consequences? What's the
Mm.
worst thing that can happen if that happens?
I will have lost my money on trademarking the name. I would have put a lot of effort into it. And there's an embarrassment factor of, oh, she tried that and look, that didn't go anywhere.
I see. And so let's look at the internal consequences. Like on the inside, what would that imply about you, your value, yourself as a person? What would you be thinking about yourself if that happens? Like negative thoughts about yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely have negative thoughts about myself. Like, oh, you thought you could do something and look, I
Mhm.
told you wasn't going to work and it didn't work. So,
Okay. And what would that mean about you? Like down deep inside, like about your self-worth? Not worthy, not lovable, not good enough.
yeah, I would say not good enough and not worthy. Like just should stay in my narrow little lane and not try new things.
Right. And for example, this sentence, you should stay in your lane and not try different things, or you're not very worthy. I'm just curious, in your younger years, like as a child,
Mm.
did you ever receive such a message from one of your parents or older people, protectors?
Yes, I did. Not from my father, but I did from my mother that they were unwed parents when they became pregnant with me. And so I think she was not happy about that and conveyed that to me a lot.
So sometimes she made you feel unworthy and who are you and like this, so sort of devalued your shine or your
Mm-hmm.
value.
Yes.
Right. So very often some of our fears do originate from the childhood, and sometimes, as they say, the inner child is still there,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
it needs to be processed a little. It needs a relation to that inner child. I don't know. Have you ever done inner child work?
I have a little bit many years ago, not recently.
Right. So I'm just bringing it to our awareness that a lot of the beliefs we have today, the BS, the belief systems that we have today, have nothing to do with who you are, but it's a little 6-year-old girl, it's a little 4-year-old girl, the inner child who is in some way still, putting her foot in the door and taking over the steering wheel of our brain, of our thoughts. And how was that for you? Like, how do you feel when you believe that thought that you're not good enough or that you should just stay in your lane? How do you feel? How does it make you feel physically?
Mm. I would say there's a heaviness to it.
Mhm.
Definitely a heaviness, like, oh, okay, this is it. I just need to stay in this one little lane. And there's a physically for me, it comes
Mhm.
across as heaviness.
Exactly. Heaviness. We lose our energy because when that child loses, children are boundless of energy. But when the child is not well, it will kind of steal that energy and bring it down and not give you that enthusiasm and that vibrancy that could be liberated, but for the moment, it believes its thoughts. So she's stuck. That little girl is stuck. That inner child is a bit stuck. So now we have to kind of in a way talk to that inner child and because it's you and the inner child together. So I would take this girl hand in hand. Did you have a name when you were younger, like Kimmy or something?
Kimmy, and then my mother's nickname for me was Bim with a BIM instead of KIM.
Okay, so we want to take Bim in our hands, in our arms, maybe put her on our lap or just give her a hug, just mentally visualize that you are with Bim. And I kind of want you and Bim together to look at that and say, now, is it true? Is it true, Bimmy, that we are not worthy? Is it true with all the things we've done in our life, with all the people we've helped, all the good things that we have come to be? Is it really true that I am not worthy, that I should stay in my lane?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the answer is no. It's sort of all things are true. Yes, I was an unexpected child, but I have done a lot of really neat things in my life.
Right. And you can turn to her and say, we have really proven ourselves. Oh, look at amazing things we've accomplished and how we are independent now and we're onto a creative project now and life just opens up opportunities and this is a lie that you've been telling yourself. So you take her in your arms and say, this, do you understand? Can you see me now, your grown-up self, and really say to her that this is a lie that you've been telling yourself. I want you to just say that word outwardly. This is a lie I've been telling myself.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a lie that I've been telling myself.
Right. It's a part of myself that believes that. It's not my whole self.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
Mhm,
It's a part of myself that believes that, not my whole self.
mhm. And believe me, Kimberly, I mean, a lot of people have this thought. It's a very basic thought, and it's everything's okay. There's no bad thoughts. It's just
Yes.
thoughts that hijack our thinking when we're not mindful of our thinking. That's why mindfulness and meditation practices are so useful, because these thoughts are happening to us, and we're taken off guard, and they hijack our energy. And so it's just good to say, that's interesting. I've been doing that to myself. I've been robbing myself of energy. That's interesting. A part of myself has done that because this was happening from a young age. So it's very understandable, but it doesn't have to continue. In fact, is it kind when you do that to yourself? That's the second question.
Mm.
Is it
Mm.
a kind thing when you keep repeating that, and even kind of telling that little girl too?
Yes. No, it's definitely not kind.
It's not kind. Like if someone from the outside were to come to you and tell you, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're probably going to fail. You'd probably say, "Excuse me, who are you?
Yes.
Do you mind leaving the room? I mean, out, please." So or you just tell them to, so, screw off.
Yes.
Who you're talking to. So why do we allow ourselves to speak to ourselves this way? It's not a kind thing. So this is the thing to become aware of. Oh my God, I've been kind of abusing myself. Why? Because I haven't noticed. Maybe it's because you haven't noticed it. Or even if you notice, you ignore it. You didn't face it head on and really look at her and say, that's not a kind thing I'm saying to myself. That's not a kind thing I'm telling Kimmy. That's not it, Kimmy. That's not us anymore. That was mom, because she had stress, because she had anger, she had frustration. She was a young mom. But why are we allowing us now, after so many years, it's still
Yeah.
dragging on us? Huh? So it's not kind. Let's just tell Kimmy that we don't have to do that anymore to ourselves. And the third question in the Agio method is it useful? How useful is it if this narrative goes on? I'm not going to make it. I should stay in my lane. I am not worthy. How useful is such a pattern?
Mm. I would say 95% not useful. There is a kernel for me of usefulness where when I start to hear that, when I think that to myself, there is a part of me that will sometimes say, oh no, that's not right. I am going to do it. I am going to make this happen. And so it also, there is a part of it that prompts me, like,
Oh, that's fantastic. If you
yeah.
want to use it as a prompt to switch, to make
Mm-hmm.
a switch, which we're going to discuss a little further, that's excellent. In fact, that's highly recommended, that when you do observe that thought, you're like, it's like a menu. The waiter
Mm.
comes to you with a menu, and he's saying, take the spaghetti, and you're like, no, I don't want the spaghetti. I'll have the salad or the soup of the day. So you can choose your thoughts. That's what most people don't understand, that their thoughts are just happening to them, and many of our thoughts are not useful to us. They're not kind, and they're certainly not true.
Mm.
So we're lying to ourselves, and we're mean to ourselves, and we're not helping ourselves very often. It's very common since ancient Greece. People haven't changed.
Yes.
So the most important thing is, first of all, to become aware that this has been robbing our energy sometimes when we're not mindful of it happening. Okay, because we're so busy, we're in our thing, and we identify with that thought and say, if I had that thought, it must be me. But it's not you. It's a part of you. So what sort of thought would you have instead of, I'm not going to make it, I will not have value? What thoughts do you have when you're really confident, or what kind of thoughts would someone you really admire have instead when they're launching this specific project?
Mm. I think for me, it would be a thought that, okay, I'm trying something brand new here. Don't know exactly how this is going to happen, but I can figure it out, and I'm going to figure it out. So let me Google how to do it. Let me watch other people's videos. Let me find out what's working and just do it to the best of my ability, and also understand that it's not going to be perfect. Especially at the beginning, I'm going to mess up. Not everything's going to fly, but I'm going to keep trying and keep improving.
I mean, have you seen Oprah's first shows and then how she matured over time? Oprah Winfrey, how if you see her first show, her hair's bad, her this, her that, and then by the end of it, she sort of mastered it. So it's always a work in progress, of course, and that's very good advice you're giving yourself in this state, this more empowered state. You're like, it's figure outable, as my mentor Marie Forleo says. She says everything is figure outable, and it's that attitude that's going to help you move forward, keep adjusting your course, staying true to your course, that attitude. And when you have that attitude, how does it make you feel energetically when you're like, you know what, I can figure this out. I can use ChatGPT, I can use Google, I can be learning as I'm doing. What happens to your energy when you think like that?
Yeah, it's very different. So I have the heaviness when I'm doing the negative self-talk, but when I talk to myself in this way, there's a lightness. I almost feel like I'm sitting in a chair and I'm ready to get up and go do it. Like, okay, let me go do it. So I'm much more energetic.
That's the thing. I mean, that is so on the point. And I myself, have been through times where I'm kind of dragging my feet, everything's so heavy and slow. And I'm like, what's wrong? Is it my metabolism? Am I not, sometimes it's the chemistry, the food we eat and the thing, but more than the chemistry, it's our thoughts. Our thoughts are either self-sabotaging us. So it's very important that we share that with the audience, that if you're low on energy, check your thoughts. Because, there's prisoners sometimes, they don't have the right diet, but because they have like this, I can make it out of here kind of mentality, and they work on them, finding the solutions. They get themselves out of very difficult predicaments, even if their diet isn't right or they're even sick. But because their thinking is in the right place, they survive and they thrive and they just move along and they feel that energy. And I love that because, you can have all the diplomas in the world, you can have all the money in the world, but if your thoughts are not right, it'll just all go wasted,
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Yes, I totally agree. I think for me at least, I'm so good at visualizing things that I can feel exhausted after a thought process. I can think, okay, well, if I try this and this is going to happen and that's going to happen and then this. And by the end of that chain of thought, I can be exhausted and I never actually move from my chair. So yeah. I think I very much agree with you about the energy drain. And I also recognize that throughout my career at the university, part of my job was to troubleshoot, right? If you're the administrator, you have to think about all the things that can go wrong every day and try to avoid those things happening. And that's an important skill to have in that job. You have to do that. However, what I'm finding after I retired is that doesn't translate very well to my regular life. It doesn't help to think about all the things that can go wrong and what you need to do to avoid them from going wrong, but to switch things and think more positively about it. And I think continues to be a big challenge for me.
Yes, because many times we are addicted to it's a habit, Yes. I think with clients who are very successful, but they're financially or, they have achieved the position they want, but they're not enjoying it because of their habit of obsessive compulsive thinking negatively. A lot of my clients are like that. It's like they're happy, they have a good life, they have their children, they have their health, they have money, they have, everything they wanted, but they're still just creating problems because it's a habit. It's just a habit. And our brain, as science tells us, is wired for this kind of troubleshooting worry. in a way, it's what got us out of the caves, all this worrying about the saber-toothed tiger, worrying about the snakes and the scorpions, or worrying about the food and, basic things now. So this worrying program is in the older part of our brain. The oldest part is the reptilian brain. And it just wants to keep us alive, not thrive. Its job is to keep us alive. So really what the reptilian mind, the little, reptile in us, the little animal in us is like, look, I kept you alive. What more do you need? Why change anything? Don't change anything, because then I have to figure more stuff out. So it worries. That's its job. It's in fear mode very often. Um, but it's not going to be the part of the brain that really helps us visualize and move forward as a species. Is the front part, the front prefrontal cortex. It's capable of visualizing an optimal future, like Walt Disney seeing the swamp and saying, I can see a beautiful amusement park here. I can see a castle here. It's that part of the brain that can envision things and attract things and mobilize things. So we want to be aware that our brain is in troubleshooting mode because it wants to keep us alive. So again, we turn to that part of ourself and say, thank you. I know you've kept me alive all these years, but I don't need to be in that fear mode to accomplish what I'm going to accomplish. I don't need that kind of thinking. That kind of thinking is going to set me back. It's no longer useful to me. So you have to speak to it as if it's a being inside you, or communicate, write a letter to her. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love that idea. I have not been much of a journaler in my life, or a
Mhm.
writer in that way, and so I'm starting to explore that more. And I really like that idea of getting it on paper, because in a way that's getting it out. It's getting it out of my head and onto
Cer-
something concrete.
Certainly, writing, painting, any expression um, is good to help ourselves work through it. And it does need the inner work. It does need just holding your breath and jumping, into the deep end. No, you can prepare yourself more emotionally. Do your morning meditation, do your evening meditation. So, as you were saying before, that you can use it as a trigger, what would be like, we have to replace this way of this narrative. Okay, so you had the old narrative. If I fail, I'm not good enough. Who am I to dream so big? Maybe I'm not as worthy as I thought. Maybe I'm not worthy of love, of success, of maybe I'm not capable. All these negative thoughts, all these, I wouldn't say negative, but limiting. They're limiting you. Okay, so what could you say instead to yourself? You have to have
Mm.
a quick replacement. You have to have that line ready. I'm not saying you're going to craft it like here and now, but how would it sound? How would you be thinking instead? What line could you tell yourself instead?
I think for me, a good line, and this is a great question. I really appreciate that. I think for me, it would be, I can figure it out.
This is
So if
figure
I,
out. I can figure it out. I can get help and get someone else to figure it out, right?
yes,
I
yes.
There is a way. Everything is figure outable. So what you would do literally, hypothetically, is when that old narrative comes into place, you're like, hang on, I know you're trying to protect me. I know you're trying to keep me alive, but it's not about being alive. We are alive. We have food on the table. We have a safe, roof over our head. It's not about keeping me alive. I need a different type of thing. Like, speak with it. Like, I don't need this right now. I choose this instead. And then you'll just close your eyes for a moment, come to yourself and say, I can figure this out. I'm resourceful. I can find other people to help me figure this out. And eventually I will reach my goal one way or another. It might take me a little longer. It might take me a little sooner. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to enjoy the ride of learning and growing, because it's really all about who I become on the journey. That's your real goal.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, that is so powerful. You're right. It's not the destination. It's how we get there.
Right.
So I appreciate that, and I think I like the idea also of not trying to, because it sounds from what you're saying, it's not a question of squelching those thoughts or beating myself up for having them. It's not a question of, oh my gosh, there you go again. You're thinking that way, because now that's a whole other rabbit hole, right?
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
it's just, okay, there you are, friend. But I'm not going to pay attention to
Exactly,
you.
friend. I know you're trying to help me. Just like if someone came, when you're trying to drive and someone was sitting in your drive and you say, "Look, no, thank you. Just sit in the next seat and I'll drive. Thank you."
Yeah.
Always nicely, because as you say, if you squelch, then it comes up with double pressure, like putting an inflatable into the water. It will somehow flip out somewhere else, come up and bite you in the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And it's just another thing to feel bad about. Like, oh my gosh, I'm still having those thoughts instead of,
Exactly. Another thing to feel bad about. Another
yeah.
way to be unkind to yourself and not having useful thoughts and lying to yourself. So again, we're repeating. I really believe that this goal you've set for yourself is really to help your own evolution. Like, I don't believe that we are actually, it's the goal. It's really the real goal, I believe, Kimberly, of our existence, of our time here on earth, is to rise to our full potential. And all of these are just projects that sharpen our awareness, our consciousness, our sense of being, our growing in becoming more free human beings. So it's the artwork is really yourself. The real project is ourself, the growth, the development. The other thing is just an excuse to work on oneself in a way.
I love that. I really love that. I agree with you. And I think that's a really helpful way of looking at it, because that brings it into the present and not looking so far down the road, but just where am I right now and what am I doing right now?
Exactly. Let's be here now. Let's have the most empowering thoughts I can have about myself, and take care of a contingency plan. But it doesn't have to be done in fear. You can say, okay, I have a plan B. I have a specific budget. This is what I'm going to spend on it. This is what I'm going to invest in it. So I am foolproof. I'm not going to spend my life savings on this. I'm going to have a plan B. Might move in, with my mother again. It doesn't matter what it is. So you can put that self at ease, the fear-based self or the little girl. You can put them all at ease. But know that there are characters that you carry with you. There are other personalities in there. So you're
I
like,
like
man,
that.
yeah, you've got your little tribe in there, your little family, and that needs some housekeeping too. It needs constant. I would say constant. There are some traditions in various religions. I speak from like Greek Orthodoxy, that say we should be in a kind of constant prayer, a constant. Um, yeah, reminding ourselves of who we are. And so our life becomes a practice. We're practitioners of this. And of course, we may fall back sometimes into old patterns, but how can we put ourselves back on the line? Well, one is to have a clearly formulated affirmation for this specific fear and insecurity. Clearly formulated. I can figure this out. This is being figured out. Whatever your line is going to be. Now, you might say, okay, but I'll forget it. In that moment when it comes, I rarely don't even know what's going on. All of a sudden, I'm low on energy. So the best is to catch it, of course, before it drains you of energy. But it's not the end of the world if it takes over. You might just need a rest. And I also offer a guided meditation on my site, a free guided meditation people can download, where in this guided meditation, you will repeat the affirmation almost like you're doing a mental gym. It's a mental gym. And so, more practiced you are in the guided meditation, repeating your affirmation in this deeply relaxed state, then you understand that it's like working weights. Okay. If you've done your workout, then if someone throws you something heavy, something negative, you can just throw it back out. But if you haven't worked out, you haven't practiced in your deep relaxation or morning and evening, your practice, then it's going to hit you. It's going to hit you and it might knock you down. But either way, you're a practitioner, you're on your path, and I think you're going to do great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. This is so helpful to reframe how I think about that. That's very meaningful. And so I will implement that. It's a very, very powerful way of looking at things.
Right. So we ask the question, is it true? Is this kind? Is this useful? No, thank you. I won't take it. I choose this. And I practice it daily in my meditation or my morning. Think of that line every morning. Today, I'm going to be resourceful and find solutions, and I'm capable. Like this constant inner work, journaling and working with your soul is really helpful. We mustn't forget that when we get caught in the list of things to do on it as we have.
Yeah, that makes really good sense. I'm so grateful. And this is, I think that your approach to identifying the issue and thinking about it and reframing it is great. I feel lighter at the end of this conversation. So thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing. And I want to remind our viewers that you can come in and fill out the form, and I can be processing your question next week. And I want to remind you also to subscribe to the YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck channel on YouTube. And I will see you next week. This month, our retreat on the Athens Riviera is an exploration of love, our relationships with friends, with family, with the community, and especially love of yourself. In this retreat, we're going to release all the fears, anxieties, insecurities that you may have right now that are blocking you from receiving and giving all the love you're capable of. So join me and a fabulous group of friends here at the Athens Riviera at the beautiful castle of Melisurgos in Lagonisi. And we are going to transform ourselves into gods and goddesses of love.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.